Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Let Me See What You Smoking show. Reporting live from the 305, Miami, Florida, the Sunshine State. Beautiful vibes. We're in Casa de Cristal. It's practically a place where you could just go and chill and vibe, get stoned, stay fly, stay high, and a nice safe haven for the stoners. We got here one of the co-founders, Casa de Cristal. We got my brother Gabe in the building. How you doing, Gabe? Thank you for having me and your beautiful establishment, my brother. First and foremost, how did your love for cannabis started?
So, thank you for coming out. I appreciate you guys coming out here, I'm glad you like the spot, I'm sure all cannabis enthusiasts will enjoy it as well. My love for cannabis started back when I was a adolescent, man, like 12 years old, 13. We were just, regular kids going to school. The older kids would come through, they would be already like, what's that they're smoking on? They smell weird, what's going on? And, we started like looking for, basically what it was. And finally, some of the older heads put us down. We ended up smoking some flowers at the railroad tracks. Because, we would, it was a mission back in the day, bro. It was hard to go. You had to go find adults that'll buy you blunts.
Still a mission out here, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as hard anymore now. You got a bunch of bodegas type style things popping up and, different locations like ourselves here. We'll do events at least once a month. People can come, tap in, have their members or meet the brands that they're looking for. So we're definitely getting to the point where it's becoming more accessible, and like buying a blunt isn't such a big hard headache anymore, or actually accessing some meds. So it's changed quite a bit, but the roots are still the same. We're still smoking haze down here. Sour is still predominant, Everybody loves some mango when they can get it, some Jack Herrera. Hazes are definitely East Coast thing, man, from here to New York, how it goes.
Yeah, I know the haze is super big out here, you know what I mean? Especially like the black, you know what I mean? The black haze, I mean, when I was coming up in Washington Heights, we never used to call it the Cuban black haze. We used to call it el puré or haze.
Just the haze. That's
the haze.
Same.
Basically haze, or dame el puré.
Yeah.
Dame el puré, manito. You know what I'm saying?
Over here, it was mine, like just the, the haze también. After it got its legs, then it was the Cuban haze, actually, I take that back. It was more just the black haze. Everybody was calling it the black haze. And then as times went on, it kind of adapted a bit, where the Cubans were the ones dominating that, and it changed. But like, shout out to the homies that ran it from back in the day, Nelly, Joe, the hard way. Those guys are still pinnacles in the industry, still rocking it to this day. So shout out to them.
What is your biggest obstacle that you have faced running Casa de Cristal?
The biggest obstacle,
or at least one that you could think of that's been,
I don't know, man. That's a good question, actually. I have to think about that. Definitely law enforcement's always been, when we first started the shop, right? We were on the second floor hiding from pretty much law enforcement, All the windows were black. There was no promotion. If anybody came into the store, you couldn't say the word pipe, let alone like ask for marijuana. If you said anything that was bud related, I had to kick you out. And now to fast forward to today where people are coming in literally asking for Delta products, trying to buy THCA, it's changed and evolved so much that I guess keeping track of what's hot and what's not has become the toughest thing for a smoke shop. As far as our glass gallery aspect, we still kicking it with that. We still rock with some of the best brands. We have sponsorships with Toro, Mothership, Swiss Perk, industry leaders. And we continue to keep it that way for now just because we've been in it for so long. We see how if the brand doesn't support you back, there's really no reason for us to carry their product, So.
Talk to me about Headstash Hash.
So Headstash Hash started evolving in about 2016, 2017. I was already going out to the West Coast looking for hash, looking for the best products to bring back down. And some of the guys that were introducing me to that world and putting me on to better quality hash, they weren't able to meet my demand. There was such a strong customer or consumer base down here asking for it that it just started growing so rapidly, right? They basically give me the initial or the insight to say, hey, why don't you come out here and start washing with us and we'll give you a better price. Because instead of them having to put in the work, they were like, you come put in the work, you break your back, and then you could get the price you want. And then that literally slowly transitioned to where every single month I was either in California, Oregon, or Seattle with a paddle in my hand, learning how to make hash. It just became a passion. And obviously the money was good. So as that all evolved into like, oh, you start chasing terps, you start looking for more flavors, you start looking for better yielders. I was drawn to it. It was instantly like something that I wanted to be involved with,
Question, flower or hash? What's your favorite?
Well, as you can see, I would say without flower, there's no hash, right? Now that I've learned a little bit more and I'm learning to, or better said, I'm getting older, right? I'm realizing that flower is bad in the component that if you're smoking plant matter, there's no need for it when really the trichome carries everything that the plant has that we want from it. So cutting out flower, it kind of gives you all the entourage effect, all the good properties that the plant has to offer. Now, you can't stop me from seshing with the boys. I grew up smoking blunts with 12 people on one nick or one dime. People might not understand what that means, but half of it was sticks and stems. You were smoking a blunt that was a skimpy, and there was 10 people on that blunt. So, to now where we're at, it's obviously, I rather smoke. If I'm at a sesh, I'm gonna do hash holes where I get the best of both worlds. If I'm at home, I'm dabbing, just for the sake.
For somebody coming to Florida, Miami, first time, and they want to look to place to sesh, what is it that you're like basically providing that people can't find nowhere else, brother?
Well, the community, right? If you come down here and you ask anybody like, yo, where's the hottest party or the hottest cannabis event going on right now, it's going to be in Casa de Cristal. We're obviously attached to not only just the world of cannabis, but the actual brands, the people with the notoriety, the people with the actual fire. So then that brings a whole group of clientele and customers that want or expect nothing but the best. So being that our glass gallery was focused on American made, top quality products, one of ones, and pretty much exquisite items, we feel that catering to a niche product as cannabis is, certain brands bring that and they're consistent with it. There's brands that will come and they introduce you to their products and their products are fire, but then they can't hold on to that consistency. So being able to provide that for our customers and for our members is what's definitely taken us to another level right now.
Well stated, man. Talk to us about the glasses, like how do you get that, how you got involved with that? I know you already got with the washing, so of course it goes together, you know what I mean? But what made you start that with that's like your main niche, Casa de Cristal, who people that don't know in English, it's like house of glass.
Correct.
So talk to us.
So the glass world was something that my good friend Alex, he's actually the original owner of Casa de Cristal. He introduced me to it back in like 2012, right? I was already buying pipes, but just like anyone, I would go to a smoke shop, look at something, think it looks nice, and that's what I would purchase. I didn't know anything. Now come to where Alex tells me, hey, I have this great idea. I want to start this store. I want to call it Casa Cristal, and I want to bring all this glass from the West Coast to the East Coast, and they're $10,000 pipes. Back then, I was like, dude, you're crazy. Everything you're saying makes no sense. But I support you. You want to do that? I got you, bro. Like I wasn't a partner yet, but I was a good friend and a supporter of his dreams. So as he started bringing glass, we started to buy some Randalls, some Hovers. He was already bringing artists, world-renowned artists, Buck, Mothership Glass, all these pieces that back in 2013, you're talking about a buck was 9,000 to 13,000. A buck in today's market is anywhere from 60 to 100K. So just so you understand, like the connection to these artists and the fact that they were all willing to have a shop in Miami, brick and mortar, represent them the way that Alex was willing to do was very it drew me in, right? And seeing the work of art, understanding how much time was going into creating these pieces was very intriguing. You know, when you see a piece of glass that takes them, God knows, 20, 30, sometimes a month to make, and it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no flaw in that. If you make a mistake, the piece is broken. That's it. It's no good. So, it's super, it was just world changing to me,
There's a big community for it, too.
Yeah.
Super big community.
Definitely. Once I started traveling to the West Coast and meeting Scott Deppie and meeting some of the guys that were in Mr. Gray and like the guys that were really like pinnacles in this industry, the passion they had for it, the way that they were like, hey, like they were doing this before there was money in it. They were just doing it because they loved what they were doing. And then creating products like their production line that every piece is a gem, and so to speak. They hit perfectly. They make them so that they're flawless pieces. It's a functional art piece. Like there's not many pieces that I take home with me, whether it be a watch or a art hanging on my wall or a basketball signed by Michael Jordan. I don't get to take that ball outside and play with it.
That's true.
There's art on the wall. Once you frame it and hang it, that's it.
That's it.
You get to look at it every day, but it's useless to you other than that. Yeah, it's going up in value if you buy the right artist. But this stuff is actually functional, meaning that you're getting joy out of it every day, So definitely a different type of investment.
Yes, it is. Definitely. I've seen some shit, man. I've seen some shit. People invest and they have pieces for pieces and they sell it and they re-up. It's like crazy. It's intense. And then I've seen people blowing in events, like blowing the glass right in front of you, see how the art of it, you know what I mean? Because it's an art. To me, it's an art.
1,000%. You know, back in the day when it was predominant for glass blowers to start making $25,000, $30,000 pieces, I feel like the guys that were really in the industry, the guys that were running the grows, the traps, those were the guys that were buying these pieces and taking them home as trap trophies, But as that evolved and people started to see the actual functionality in the piece and the fact that it's something that they're going to use on a day-to-day basis, maybe 4 or 5 times, more than their coffee maker in a daily basis, So it started to become more common to where people want to have this like Rolls Royce or a Mercedes style rig on their table, and they're trying to use this as their daily, and we're happy to facilitate that.
So one thing I noticed when I first came into the store, actually when my boy brings me here, my boy Louis, shout out to Louis, Rothko.
Yes, sir.
When I pull up, I'm seeing the first thing I see also is Puffco.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the Puffco. Like that's how I usually dab. Like that's my way of, my method of concentrate is using Puffcos. I don't really do the dab thing with the rigs, you know what I'm saying? Because there's too much headaches with the torch and everything. So how did the relationship with Puffco? You're an official retailer, right?
Yeah, we're actually an authorized retailer. Shout out to Puffco and my partner Peanut for keeping that shit going. They support us. They're one of our sponsors as well here at the shop. So shout out to all of them. Puffco is an amazing product. We've seen so many people basically go from having 6, 7 pieces to now basically telling us, bro, I just use my Puffco every day, and it's eye-opening to us. I do feel that Puffco is something that every dabber needs in their lineup. For a new Puffco user, I would say give dabbing out of glass a chance, because most people try a Puffco and then it's one and done. Once they hit the Puffco, they're set for life. And I feel that there is a different experience that comes with using glass, attaching yourself to an artist, learning how to take a proper dab out of quartz. It's something everyone should take a chance and experience. But the Puffco is an amazing product. Now, I prefer the Peak and the Pivot over other items they've created.
I'm a proxy guy.
You're a proxy guy?
I'm a proxy guy.
Okay, see?
Yeah. And pivot too. I like the pivot.
Okay. I feel like the proxy doesn't give enough life. There's
Okay.
not enough battery for
Yes.
what it does.
Yes.
And they're, the actual
3D chambers. The 3D chambers could get burned out quick too.
Yeah, the chambers are a little finicky, But hey, again, there's a Puffco for everyone. So
To each his own. Yeah, definitely. There is a Puffco for everyone. What is the future looking like for Casa de Cristal? Like, what is like some of the goals that you are looking forward to accomplishing when it comes to Casa de Cristal?
We definitely want to have a full-time membership with our guests. We want to be able to have them come in and enjoy our lounge, take advantage of the pieces we have to offer, all the items that are available, the educational programs that we can provide, not to mention the events. Anybody that is a member is going to be able to have access to a Casa event. We're gathering this place, or created this place to gather, to have a community of sort. Miami is a place that it's very groupy, to say the least. So being able to get all those groups here to congregate together and show them that there's a way to make it happen, I think is the essential plan for this place.
Okay. Any last shout out for the people, my brother, in order for you to get into Casa de Cristal? Like, we want to tell Miami locals and also stoners that come from all over the States and all over the world. What do you want to tell them, brother?
I want everybody to know that, Casa's here to help everybody become a part of the community down here in Miami. If you guys are looking for a space while you're down here in Miami, visiting, traveling, on vacation, whatever it is, feel free to reach out to us. Hit us up in the DM. If we're having an event, you're more than welcome to come by. We'll have links on our page. If anybody's looking for any kind of essential cannabis needs, just reach out to us and we'll do our best to assist.
Fire. Gabe, thank you so much for your time, my brother. I wish you the best. Much success with the Casa de Cristal. I think it's a beautiful environment, ambience, chill out spot, nice area, nothing crazy, you know what I'm saying? You'll find it. If you know type of style, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Which is not in the city, but then you be able to, find it, somewhere just chilling, you know what I mean?
We're 10 minutes away from everywhere you want to be.
Exactly.
And that's exactly where you need to be.
Exactly. It's not no hood booger area where you gotta be scared to walk in or anything like that.
We're a gated community, we have an indoor and outdoor space. You'll feel safe. You'll feel safe with us.
And they got a dog to protect your ass.
Yeah.
You already know.
We got our dog Bear, we got our local mascot, and just feel free. Remember, mi casa, su casa.
You already know. Casa de Cristal in the house. Shout out to Gabe. Shout out to the whole squad. You already know.
Thank you
so
so
much, Gabe.
Of course,
you already know, my brother. Peace.